to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit, a show dedicated to helping you find enrichment for the other 23 hours of your day outside of the gym. Here's your hosts, Jason, Dave, and Corian.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Anchored at Harbor Park. I'm Coach Jason.
I'm Coach Dave.
And I'm Coach Corian.
And today we are talking about staying on track during the summer. But before we get into that, we have an icebreaker. Who is your favorite Avengers character?
We were just talking about...
We've probably done this one already.
No, I don't think we have. Because we were just talking about how Dave and I are not big Avenger watchers. So...
I mean, but they're Marvel characters, so... My favorite... Are we talking just the actual superhero, or are we talking about just the character of the actor?
Oh, the superhero.
Okay, the superhero.
That's how I would have taken it.
I don't know, I'm just thinking. Because there's certain ones that I like because of just the actor or how they act with it.
I feel like I know who you should say, because you
Iron Man is probably...
Yeah, you bugged me forever to watch those movies.
I was debating the two, him and Spider-Man. I like both.
Oh, yeah.
They're like a package deal.
Yeah, I like Iron Man.
Well, at least in the Avengers movie. I don't think in the other ones. Excuse me.
I'm just terrible at Avenger superheroes versus
Did you see the last movie or no?
No, Dave and I are so behind. So
You don't want me to spoil it, do you?
No.
Well, it's not really...
No spoils. I'm just going to say that we just watched it, so I'm just going to go with Thor, because so far it's been good. We've got one more, I think, to watch in that little mini-series.
Can I tell you something you'll really like about the movie? It won't really spoil it.
Yes.
There's a scene in it where all the female superheroes come together.
Yay!
They're not superheroes, but the female.
Powerhouses.
Yeah. Mine is Tony Stark, which people might say is not an Avenger because Iron Man is. But I like Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man by default. But they're all badass.
I just, for the longest time, didn't want to watch the movies, and Dave's you have to. It's so good. And then I think, the third one came out, and I was like, oh, that does look good, but I should probably watch the first two. Mm-hmm. So then we ended up watching them, and I really liked them.
So many plot twists.
We watched the first one in the theater with a friend, and we had no idea really what was going on.
The first Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of I don't know. I was like, what is going on? Then I realized, like I said, that there were so many plot twists and 22 interwoven stories, and I was like, oh, well, I never watched Thor. I never watched, I watched the Iron Man series, but I never watched Doctor Strange. I didn't watch Ant-Man and all that stuff, so I'm kind of excited. We're going to go back and do it. It's one at a time.
Yeah, get caught up. Be part of the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about staying on track during the summer. Because we know every year it happens. It starts getting nice out, especially up in Wisconsin, where we are, cooped up inside all winter. And then finally summer comes and everyone wants to go outside and hang out. And typically that means go to the bars or, go eat or go drink somewhere. And it's really easy if you're not careful to pack on some extra pounds. So we're just going to help you guys kind of be more mindful how you can approach the summer this year with some tools to help prevent that.
And that's what's tough is I think that, we work all winter long thinking, oh, I'm going to get in shape for summer. I want to wear that bathing suit. I want those abs. And then we get sidetracked. We stop going to the gym as much because now we're outside. We're enjoying that weather, which is fine. But then, now we're eating all this garbage and we're eating too much, but we're not burning off enough. And then we're right back in the holiday season, and then it's all right, I'm going to get back in shape. You can still maintain that. You don't have to go through these wild bumps.
And I'm gonna argue that it's not that we spend all winter getting to our summer body, because we have issues during the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year, and summer's just another point of it. We've had a couple good months where there's nothing in the way of people's determination. And we'll do that again come fall. Come fall, people get back on track. So I think that this is just the ebb and flow of the year. But like Jason said, maybe our goals aren't necessarily to lose, but they're definitely not to kind of self-sabotage everything we worked for.
Right. Yeah.
So, kind of finding that balance.
We totally want everyone to enjoy themselves and have fun. We're not saying, go hide and don't do anything all summer. You totally kind of have fun and be smart about it and still, chase your goals and accomplish them.
Yeah, I just don't think that people realize how fast things rack up. Like you join a softball or a volleyball league or anything like that, or multiples. So now you go from where you weren't kind of really going out or doing much very often to maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. Now you're playing these sports games, which is awesome. But then you're having drinks afterwards or, bar food or something else or going out. And it's just, you're going from where you were doing that maybe once or twice a week to multiple times a week. So just things like that really do kind of play a bigger role.
I went out to eat on Thursday. We went to a brewery, and this one, usually they don't post calories on their menu. This one did. I think there was maybe 2 items on the menu that was under 1,000 calories.
Wow.
And I think the majority was like 1,800. The appetizers were all in like the 12 to 1,800 range, and then the desserts were all over 1,000. One was 2,000 calories.
And I think one of the biggest things people don't realize is that, that's because it's an appetizer and you're intended to share, maybe with your whole table.
Right.
But most people eat that by themselves.
It was just me and one other. And so we split it. That's still 800 calories I just ate. Before my meal, that was 1,600 calories. Mm-hmm. We didn't do dessert, but I'm sure a lot of people do. We did have beer. So, I go out to eat maybe once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. But in the summer, it's nice out. Your friends are asking you to go out. That can happen every week now. And that's 3,000 calories just in one meal.
Yep. And I've talked about this on my vlog before. When you are in a caloric deficit to try and lose weight, what you do is you spread those calories out throughout the week, so you're only a couple hundred calories per day in order to get that weight loss. But then when you have one day out like that, I don't think people realize, so if I'm trying to get someone to eat 3,000 calories less so that we can be in a caloric deficit and lose a pound of body fat, and then they go out and they're like, well, I just went out one time. I went out on Saturday. Yeah, but then you went to that brewery. You ate 3,000 calories. So they're just null and voids the fact that I had you at a deficit for the other 6 days of the week.
Right.
So it's okay, and that's fine. I did that this last week after the comp. We ate, and I didn't lose anything or do anything, and I don't care. I was fine with that. Like you said, I enjoyed life. I enjoyed time with our coaches and our members, but I had to realize that one meal put me at my maintenance calories,
Yeah. So the first thing to kind of be mindful of as we're getting into the summer, and we kind of talk about this all year long, but it's even more important now if you want to stay on track, will be your habits. Yep. Like we've mentioned, there's a lot more influences now, and if you're not careful, those habits that you've spent a lot of hard work building over the past few months can easily deteriorate.
Yeah. So that's why, we are just a creature of habit and reward, and we like streaks and things like that. That's why MyFitnessPal will tell you, you've logged in for 210 days.
Which, that's not true. I don't know how it works, because I missed a day and then still set up.
Did you open your app?
Oh, if you
I'm guessing if you open your app, it'll
I didn't
still
log
count.
at all.
Yep. It doesn't. It just says you logged in.
Oh, right.
Because they want to keep you motivated, which is a great thing. So if you're going into the summer and you already have habits and baselines of things that you've established, keeping those up is really important. So what I tell people, or a lot of the books that I've read, is we want to keep rewarding ourselves for keeping and maintaining these habits. So making sure that we are not falling off our routine of grocery shopping, of meal prepping, or whatever it is that you've now established for the last couple months. So get a calendar, put it out there, mark it down, put a little red X for every day that you do it, and you'll want to see that streak keep going. Or however else you want to keep track of that. What I don't like is when people are like, okay, I've tracked now for a whole month, so I'm going to not do it this day as my reward. And I'm like, well, that's going the opposite way of what we want to do, because now you're breaking that habit loop. So
Right.
find a way to not break that habit loop.
And I think maybe we should hit on tracking for a little bit here. Because, we say with our workouts all the time, like, tracking is what is going to show us our improvement. Same deal with nutrition, whether it's pen and paper or MyFitnessPal or whatever. Tracking, making sure that you know what you're eating on a daily basis. Super important. Super necessary for you to hit those goals.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of our habits and the power of what doing things routinely and over really changes for us.
And if you can write things down, the power of writing something down, so you make that habit in the morning, like maybe you're sitting down for breakfast and you're planning out your day or your week, like that's usually what we have talked about in the past, is plan out your entire week. Say these are the days you're going to go to the gym. These are the days, you're going to plan your meals out ahead of time. So when you write it out, or you plan it out, you're more likely to stick to it,
And then if you do go out, it's a Thursday night, you go hang out with some friends and you're contemplating if you should have a drink or not. Maybe the fact that you have to log it down or track it. Say, oh, you know what, maybe I don't need that beer because I don't want to put it in.
So those are good ways that we can stay on point with habits that we've already kind of established. And then when we have a habit that we want to start that's new, because people are going to always want to kind of grow and continue to advance the things that they're doing. I always tell people it's the same thing. We want to find a way that we want to define what the habit is. We want to define why that habit's important to us. What do we get and what do we achieve for doing that? How are you going to track it? And make sure you're getting it done. And then what does that look like when you know that you've kind of are ready to continue to add on? So this is what I do with my clients. So just for example, say that you're like, okay, I'm going to eat home cooked meal every night instead of going out. So you've just clearly defined your habit, home cooked meal every night versus going out. Why is it important? I have high cholesterol, and when I go out, I eat things that are very high in sodium or, anything else, oils and fats. So I need to get my cholesterol down because my heart is not healthy and I want to live a long time for my family. Okay, there's our why. How are you going to track it? I'm going to mark it on a calendar. Every night that I eat dinner at home, I'm going to put a red X. Okay, we know how we're tracking it. And then what does that look like when we're done? For something like that, I tell my clients 14 days of doing that habit continuously in a row. So if you are marking it on a calendar with a red X and you get 14 days in a row, it doesn't mean that you're stopping that habit, but now you're ready to build on to that habit. Next step. If you miss a day, we start back over at 0, and that's okay. Some habits are super easy and you'll get them done in 7 or 14 days. Some, like me, I quit smoking 18 times, but I kept resetting. I didn't let it get to me, and every time it lasted longer and longer, and now I've been smoke free for 4 years and completely.
I think that's super important, especially during the summer, is not having that all or nothing mentality where if you do fall off, if, you have a really busy week and you just don't go to the gym, like, don't totally stop coming just because you missed a week or whatever. If you went on vacation or you went out of town for the weekend, you ate like crap, like, don't let it consume your whole summer. Like, start back over.
Yeah. I think that some people just get so bogged down that it's either you're going to make it or you're not, but people forget that, like, everything in life is constantly resetting. Like, people who are famous constantly had to re-audition for parts or lost parts or had to revamp their look or hire new people, or how many famous people do we know that are bankrupt all the time and have to come back from scratch? You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know why this idea of having to start over is such a negative thing. It's literally what everybody does in life. Scientists, when they're trying to do a test, they do it all the time. Even if they get the results that they wanted to, they start that case study back over at zero because they want to make sure that they get the same results again. That is what life is all about. It is constantly reevaluating, restarting, and it's okay to do that.
Yep, I agree. And habits are one of the most good habits are very hard to instill in your body. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it takes a minimum 14 days to even change that.
Yeah.
And like you said, with a bad habit, if anybody's read The Power of Habit, which is actually the book club for this, or book club book this month, The Power of Habit says in there that bad habits, the ones that like can consume you, that you're stuck in a rut, as soon as you get back into that, it just sucks you back in, and like it really only takes one time, and then you get back in that habit. To get out of that habit, you have to completely like change what you're doing, and how you do that is you build on the good habits, and you reward yourself for that, and you keep going, and you try to avoid those bad habits. Obviously. Yeah. And then if you have a mishap, okay, well, it's not the end of the world. We just had one day or a mishap here. We'll start up again tomorrow. But if we allow it to consume us, like Jason said, you say, well, I'll start back up tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you didn't. Okay, I'll do it the next day. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'll do it Monday. Monday's a good day. I'll do it Monday. And then you miss Monday. And then it's like, well, I missed Monday. Well, now this whole month's shut. And it just keeps spiraling out of control. So you have to understand that you will have mishaps. You will have setbacks. But like, that's fine. That's part of life. Part of life is failing and learning from failure.
Yeah, and what you need to do is then you need to reevaluate. Like maybe we are unrealistic at the habit that we're trying to achieve right now. We need to make it a smaller goal that's obtainable. Maybe it's something that wasn't defined properly. Maybe we reflect back and we're like, oh, that's not really getting me the thing that I wanted. So maybe just redefining what that habit is. One of the other most powerful things that I've ever been taught was from my life coach last summer, when he said that our mind does not like to work in negatives. So I have worked really hard with my clients to, rather than say I'm going to have less junk food or I'm going to, drink less soda or anything like that, our mind doesn't do well with goals that are in negative,
like taking away.
Yeah, we do really well with like positive and moving forward and progressive things. So rather than say I'm going to drink less soda, I'm going to drink more water. Rather than say I'm going to eat out less, say I'm going to cook at home more. Rather than say that I want to eat less processed food, say you want to eat more real food. So keeping it in a positive direction, your body's going and your mind's going to wrap itself around it. Mm-hmm.
And then this kind of seems, or it might seem kind of simple or obvious, but, planning ahead, like figure out what your big commitments are throughout the summer, mark them down on a calendar, and then, it's a lot easier to, like if I know I have a wedding, in 2 weeks, I can kind of be a little more strict this week, knowing that next week probably won't be as good on that weekend, so you can plan accordingly. You can, one thing for me is, I like to make all my meals for the next day, the night before. Mm-hmm. And if I know I have something going on, like the next night, I can be smart with the amount of food I'm making in each meal. So if I know I'm going to go out for dinner, I won't have as much carbs and fat throughout the day, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's planning ahead is super important, because what happens is we make these decisions especially when we're in the moment, and that doesn't work well, because especially like I find a lot of times when Dave and I are hungry and we're like in a hurry and I'm scrambling, and even at home where I have a plethora of healthy food and no shitty food, Dave's seen me like for like 10 minutes. I'll be like, I don't know what to eat, because I just like, we need to get out of the house. I'm hungry. I don't know what to cook, and I didn't plan ahead. And so I get very frustrated. We are creatures that think that of habit, and our society is taught that that's okay, that nobody plans ahead, but people who want to succeed plan ahead. Like you plan your work day, you plan your drive, you plan, your kids' soccer games, and you plan, when you're going to pay your bills and all these things. Like we just got to get used to planning our meals. I hear so often from people that they're like, oh, I just grocery shop and I go. And I'm like, well, like we plan everything else in life. Why aren't we planning that stuff?
So it's really interesting because, we're really good at planning, and, to the point where like I kind of get made fun of a little bit because my meals are so structured. You know, I eat the same thing every day at the same time. But there's a quote that says, "Discipline is freedom," and what it means is like we don't get those situations where we're scrambling because we don't know. Like we don't get stressed about it because we plan so well. Like it just takes care of itself, and we don't have to worry about that. Like, sure, you could just kind of live spontaneously like that, but you're kind of setting yourself up for that stress and that that likelihood of failure, just because you're not prepared, you're not sure what you're going to do.
Yeah. And I think like you said, I've actually gotten way better. So last week I was just not with it when it came to like my nutrition. Like I was working a lot with my clients, I was working a lot with the gym and all of that sort of stuff. So, but because I'm so disciplined and so habit formed that, whereas normally I'd be hungry and just like freak out about food. Like my breakfast, I was like, I'm just going to open the fridge. This looks good. I'm used to these flavors. This can go together. And I didn't have to think. And I also, because I've been doing this for so long, have a good idea of how many veggies and everything I should have per meal and, how much meat per meal because I know what I eat. So even though I spent a week not planning ahead, I was pretty on point. Right. But that's because I've, been building these habits for years now. So it takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah, and like you said, like you could have a good plan in